Terraform doesn't know what's actually running in your cloud. It only knows what it deployed last time. That gap between reality and what the tool remembers is where most infrastructure disasters start. Terraform and CloudFormation are both infrastructure as code tools. IAC means you write a file describing what your cloud infrastructure should look like. Servers, databases, networking, and the tool builds it. No clicking through consoles, no manual configuration, no, I think I set that up last March. Think of it like an architect's blueprint versus a contractor showing up and winging it. The blueprint is repeatable, reviewable, and doesn't depend on anyone's memory. Terraform is made by HashiCorp and works across any cloud provider. CloudFormation is AWS's own native tool, built specifically for their ecosystem. Most teams hit the same wall. Someone built infrastructure by hand 6 months ago. No one documented it. That person left. Now you need to reproduce the environment for a new region or recover from an outage, and nobody knows exactly what's running or why. ISC tools solve that by making infrastructure describable, version controllable, and reproducible. But picking the wrong tool creates its own problems. A startup that goes all in on CloudFormation and later needs to run workloads on Google Cloud is stuck rewriting everything. A team that picks Terraform without understanding state management will eventually push a change that destroys a production database because the state file drifted out of sync with reality. The choice matters. So does understanding how each one actually works. CloudFormation uses a declarative template, usually written in JSON or YAML, that you submit to AWS. AWS reads it, figures out what needs to be created or changed, and handles the execution. The service tracks everything inside a construct called a stack. The stack is AWS's record of what was deployed from your template, and AWS manages that record for you. You don't own the state directly. AWS does. That's actually the hidden strength of CloudFormation. The state is stored and managed by AWS's own infrastructure. It's harder to lose, harder to corrupt, and tightly integrated with IAM, AWS's identity and access control system, so permissions are handled natively. Terraform works differently. You write configuration files using HCL, HashiCorp configuration language, that describe your desired infrastructure. When you run Terraform plan, Terraform compares your configuration against a state file, which is just a JSON file that records what Terraform deployed last time. Then Terraform apply makes the changes needed to close the gap. That state file is yours to manage. You need to store it somewhere reliable, usually a remote backend like S3 with DynamoDB for locking, and if multiple people run Terraform simultaneously without that locking mechanism, you can corrupt the state. That corruption is exactly the infrastructure disaster from the hook, the upside of Terraform owning its own state. It works identically whether you're deploying to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or even on-premises infrastructure. One tool, one workflow, one mental model. And if this is the kind of thing you want to actually understand rather than just memorize, Stack Future covers one concept like this every day. The real architectural difference comes down to this. CloudFormation is deeply integrated and fully managed within AWS. Terraform is provider agnostic and gives you control. But that control comes with responsibility. Say your team is deploying a new microservice on AWS. You write a Terraform configuration that creates an ECS cluster, a load balancer, and an RDS database. You run Terraform apply, everything deploys cleanly, and the state file gets saved to an S3 bucket. 3 weeks later, a teammate manually adds a security group rule directly in the AWS console, a quick fix during an incident. Now reality and the state file disagree. When someone runs Terraform apply again, Terraform sees that security group rule as undeclared infrastructure. Depending on your configuration, it may remove it. This is called state drift. The fix is Terraform refresh to resync state with reality, followed by importing the manually created resource into your configuration with Terraform import. Neither command is hard. But if you don't know state drift exists, you'll spend hours wondering why Terraform just deleted something that was definitely there. CloudFormation doesn't have this problem to the same degree because AWS tracks the stack state server side and flags out of band changes with a drift detection feature built directly into the console. Terraform gives you flexibility across any cloud, but you're responsible for protecting and maintaining the state file. CloudFormation keeps you tightly inside AWS's ecosystem, but the state management is handled for you. Neither is universally better. The right answer depends on whether you're AWS only or multi-cloud. If Terraform state management sounds like a concept worth going deeper on, Remote backends, locking, and workspace isolation are worth a dedicated look. If this helps something click, a like tells the algorithm other people should find it too.